When her blood pressure drops, Sabine Munstahl's husband has to quickly respond with emergency procedures. Sabine has ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. It's a motor neuron disease that leads to debilitating disability and eventually death. She doesn't think her life will get any better.
The medicine has hardly any effect anymore. I'm always in my wheelchair. I can barely move. It's as if I'm going through hell.
Her husband has been taking care of her 24/7 for the past 7 years. But now the 55-year-old has decided to put an end to her life, and she needs help for this too.
I can't just get up and go to the 10th story of a building and jump. I would have the courage if I was feeling bad enough, but I can't even do that.
Assisted suicide and euthanasia are illegal in Europe, with the exception of Belgium, Luxembourg, Switzerland, and the Netherlands. In Germany, however, a person will not be breaking the law if they help somebody to commit suicide by providing lethal drugs, for instance. Sterbehilfe Germany is an association that campaigns for the right of people to choose their time of death. It currently has 450 members who pay 200 euros a year in membership fees. Last year, 41 people committed suicide with its help.
In concrete terms, either a relative, if they're willing, or a volunteer from our association goes to the apartment of the person in question and administers medication that has been prescribed by a doctor.
The German parliament is trying to ban such associations and individuals from making money out of helping somebody to die. Lawmakers from all parties generally agree on this matter.
It's my personal conviction that there's a line that humans should not cross, sending people to their deaths or enabling them to die.
It's not acceptable that a business model be derived from some people's desire to put an end to their lives.
It creates a risk of a climate emerging in which people say, I think I'm a burden to my relatives, to care workers, and then they behave as they imagine is expected of them, saying, yes, I want to end my life.
I
personally would prefer not to introduce bans. I have a more libertarian approach. We live in a libertarian constitutional state, and a ban would always impinge on the rights of self-determination of those concerned.
Sabine Munstahl cannot afford to join an association that helps with suicide. However, she's found somebody online whose services are cheaper.
This man does it more or less on a voluntary basis, only covering his costs. So he does it for human and humanitarian reasons. Someone else would say he's a murderer, but to me, he's a savior.
Professionals who work in hospices and provide palliative care say that these need more support and funds. Germany's parliament is currently looking into the matter.
Often people's desire to die comes from a sense of despair, from the feeling of being badly cared for. We have to increase the number of places in hospices and have to support people so they don't fall into such despair, and then contact those organizations because they don't see an alternative.
We know that palliative medicine is the preferred answer to pain, but we provide an answer to those very few people for whom palliative medicine is no longer a solution.
Although Sabine Munstahl takes pills every 3 hours, the pain is still almost unbearable.
I don't want to just die somewhere in a bed. Every dog is granted the right to die. We let him go to sleep when he's suffering. This right isn't granted to people, even if they know they're going toward a slow, cruel, and painful death.
Wenn weiß, läuft in einen grausamen, langsamen, qualvollen Tod.
Anyone who's as ill as I am should be granted this right. This has nothing to do with the Third Reich and euthanasia. Times have changed. Hitler and Goebbels are no longer around.
Her husband says he was shocked the first time she told him she wanted to die, but he stopped trying to talk her out of it.
We had long discussions, and some of them were very controversial. But when I realized what a terrible illness my wife has, I understood that she was being reasonable. But of course, it took a long time for me to accept this.
They say that they will call the person who will help Sabine Munstahl commit suicide when she can no longer turn around in her bed.
I'm already in hell with my pain. Things can only get worse from here.